Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello, hey everybody, happy Monday.
Indeed, we survived the weekend.
We did.
Just barely.
We did, and it's almost November. What has
Right?
happened to this year? I cannot believe it's almost November.
It's gone so fast. We took our last trip for the season to Yellowstone on Saturday and
We
had an
did.
absolute riot. We
It
didn't see
was
any
so much
bears.
fun.
Rude.
No, we didn't. We did get some really awesome shots at some great elk, some
We did.
super cool birds. I got a chipmunk, and me and my nephew Jack got a weird ant. So I think it's pretty good.
Well, we had an encounter with a raven that went on for a long time.
We did. It was so fun. The Yellowstone ravens are the coolest birds on the planet of Earth. I love them.
This
That's
one
I
just
honestly that's what I look for more than anything is I'm like, ooh, I want to get to hang out with a cool raven because they're
Mhm.
so much fun.
And this dude apparently was the guardian of an outhouse.
He
He was,
was the Hayden Valley Lord of the Hayden Valley Shitter, yes.
yep, he was sitting on top of it. There was lots of evidence that he's been there a while.
Hmm.
We had quite an interesting encounter with him. Jack was feeding him grapes, and at one point, he was clearly full of
Or he
them.
wasn't. Maybe that happened in a national park. Maybe it didn't.
Maybe, we don't know. And he may or may not have taken some and stuffed them in a hole.
Yeah,
I've never seen a raven do that before.
he was storing up, man.
Yeah. But oh my
Smart
gosh,
little bird.
darling, they are so cool. But we picnicked there in the park, and this blue woodpecker
Oh
started
my God.
swooping in, and he just he was all the way around us the entire time we ate. That was really cool. I've never seen a woodpecker get that close before.
Well, and I've never seen one that color before either. He was absolutely gorgeous.
He was amazing. Yeah. So that was fun. We saw a bunch of elk. The elk are still in rut, so they're showing off. The bulls are out there bugling and showing off, and the ladies are
Mhm.
like, "For fuck's sake, when does this end?"
Right. I'm pretty sure I'm already pregnant, buddy.
Mhm.
They're right at the end. They're in Mammoth
Mhm.
Hot Springs, which is where the elk kind of hang out in the Yellowstone headquarters town. And oh my
Mhm.
hell, it's the funnest thing because you really
Mhm.
get to see them and hear them. The bugling is the coolest thing.
It is. Yeah, but yes, the ladies have clearly had it. They're like, "Listen, I we're done here." But they
Yeah.
are.
There
I
was a
mean, they'll
lot of
start.
bugling and a lot of not reacting. Like,
The
oh,
ladies on the other
buddy,
side of the road going, "Ha!" They're probably
read the
chuckling,
room.
right? They're chuckling
Yeah.
with each other like, "He really thinks we're gonna come over there. He
Hmm.
really thinks that's gonna work on us again."
Yeah, pretty much.
Probably one starts to head over and they're like, "Sharon, no."
We said we're not doing this again. But
Pretty wild. Saw some bison, of course. You always see bison in the park, almost always. Yeah.
hmm.
So, and it was just gorgeous, beautiful fall weather.
Oh
There
my
was a little
gosh, it was
snow in the
so beautiful.
park. A little
It
snow.
was.
It's a coming real fast. But anyway,
That's how
so
we
that
know
was
we're
great.
done for the year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because that's it. That's the end.
Mhm.
But anyway, it was great. We had an awesome time. So
It was. It
yeah.
was just what I needed. I needed to get my fall nature fix, and we got it.
hmm Which is good because it's going to get super cold now. It's supposed to snow on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I'm going to have to turn on the heat.
Yeah. Quite sure you are.
I've been suffering through it trying to make it to November 1st, but no,
No, not going to happen.
not at all. But at any rate, per normal, there's all kinds of things going on in the true crime world. We decided today to
Hmm.
do our true crime roundup type episode where we each pick three different cases that aren't going to be super long, but also deserve a mention. And so that's how we're going to roll. So, Christy, you are going to kick us off with some WTF news.
Oh boy, am I. Guys, this is Victor Rivas, and he he done fucked around and found out
Oh
in
gosh.
court. So Victor Rivas was accused of murdering a 16-year-old in May of 2022. Oh, he was 15 at the time, Ethan Soto. Victor is 18, and he has been awaiting a murder trial.
Yeah.
Well, Soto decided to, while in court, he decided to make a gesture toward the victim's family. Let's
Oh.
just say no one's saying exactly what the gesture is, but I'm guessing it's something like the middle finger salute,
Hmm.
something like that, right? And well, Ethan Soto's family has had it with Victor Rivas's ass, as you can imagine. And so, what happened when said gesture was made is that four of Ethan Soto's male relatives jumped the half wall between spectator and defendant and kicked his ass for a solid 30 seconds before bailiffs were able to pull them off.
We're able or we're
And
willing.
right, maybe some of both. I've seen the video. I'm not going to show the video because it's a lot of violence, but they got some pretty good licks in. Let me just say that. Victor apparently is bruised and swollen, but his attorney said that he is otherwise uninjured. I would imagine some of the family feels a little better, like maybe they got some kind of revenge on these idiots, although
Mm,
unfortunately they have been arrested and charged with assault and disruption of court proceedings because as much as we would all like to do something like that from time to time, it is not allowed.
I'm sure it feels worth it
I would imagine, yes, it
because
probably does.
how feckin' dare he do that to the family? How
Right.
dare he?
Yeah.
And I'm sure when
So,
sentencing rolls around, the judge is going to be like, "Yeah, remember this? Mm-hmm.
yeah,
You're not
yeah,
sorry. There's no remorse here. Here's the heaviest fine, or the heaviest time I can give you
right.
because you acted like this in my courtroom.
Yeah.
It'll come back to haunt
So,
him. Besides, getting his
Victor
ass kicked."
Rivas, maybe you've learned your lesson. Maybe you haven't. You're headed for prison. I would suggest not fucking around and finding out, buddy.
Well, can you imagine what prison's going to be like for this boy?
No, I cannot.
He's
Because
going to
if he would
march
do that
right
in a
in there
courtroom, you know he's going to get his ass kicked in prison for the same kinds of crap.
for sure. Well, Victor, sucks to suck.
It does suck. All right, Katie, I think I'm kicking the mic back to you for some true crime news.
Yes. There's been a real worry for a while here in the U.S. that we were going to be seeing increased violence against the judiciary in general. There's been
Mhm.
a lot of, especially here in Idaho, like, people showing up and protesting at judges' houses and, you know, their addresses being doxxed. And not just in Idaho, but we've seen that here in a way that that I think is really surprising and not okay.
Scary. Yeah.
Yeah. And last week, something happened that goes completely beyond the pale. The two
Mm,
gentlemen here in this picture, the man on the right is a judge from Maryland. The
okay.
man on the left is a suspected murderer, Pedro Agate,
Okay.
or Argote, sorry. Uh, Apparently, Judge Andrew Wilkinson had been in court that very day with Pedro and his estranged wife and gave her custody of all four of their children and enforced a restraining order on Pedro that he is not allowed at this point to have any contact with his children. If that gives you any sense of
Good.
who Pedro is.
Yeah.
Later that evening, Judge Andrew Wilkinson was shot dead in his driveway.
Oh my God.
And
That is terrifying.
there is a strong belief of law enforcement that it was Pedro. Pedro was driving, they believe, a silver 2009 Mercedes GL 450. And that was found in a wooded area in West Virginia near the border. The U.S. Marshals, they're saying that he has ties to Maryland, Brooklyn, Long Island, Tampa, and Clearwater, Florida, and Columbus and North Carolina. Uh, he could be anywhere, in other words, sounds like. But he has
Mm-hmm.
been on the run now. Today is day 5 of a manhunt for him. And
Wow.
he should be armed and dangerous. His ex-wife is saying that he always has a firearm on him, and obviously he will stop at pretty much nothing. He went ahead and murdered a judge.
Wow.
So, at any rate, he is still on the loose, and there's a huge manhunt out for him. I really, really hope they find him without any more bloodshed and that they get him
Yes.
alive and make him stand accountable for this. It's horrible. But I'll tell you what else is really perplexing. You look up an article about him, I promise you, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere else, and
Mm-hmm.
you will find people defending Argote. That judge was ruining that man's life. You can't stand between a man and his children. Well, he was motherfuckers,
Yeah, you can.
you don't know the whole story, obviously. And if a
Right.
judge thinks that what was going on in this home was dangerous enough that he needed to put a restraining order in, such as that, to keep this man completely from seeing those 4 kids, there's a lot more to the story than you realize. I am
Yeah.
blown away at people defending his actions. What
That
country
is
are we
just
living
sick.
in?
Right. Oh, a fucked up one. That's what. A very
That
fucked up one.
absolutely blows my mind that anybody would defend this nonsense.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, obviously, take a hard look at his face, especially if you live on the East Coast. This is him. I would imagine you're going to be looking for somebody without the glasses and wearing a baseball cap,
Yeah. Probably at the very
because that would
least.
change that face quite a bit.
Yes, it would.
Or a hoodie and a baseball cap or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, really hoping they can bring him in without incident.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to kick it back over to you for some, oh, Idaho.
Right. Oh, Idaho, here we are in the news for some bullshit again. It's never good.
We
We can
can't
never say,
avoid it.
yay, Idaho, doing great. No, not doing great. So, a type 1 diabetic who is a prisoner in an Idaho prison is suing the Idaho Department of Corrections medical provider and says the allegations are that the company has bungled, mismanaged, and ignored his constant requests for medical care, even refusing him insulin on one occasion. This man is a type 1 diabetic.
Holy
Without
shit.
insulin, he will die.
Mm-hmm.
So the prisoner's name is Jacob Fry. He's 41, and he is at the Idaho State Correctional Institution in Kuna, which is not far outside of Boise, Idaho.
Sure.
And he's filed a civil rights lawsuit against Centurion Health, and they provide health care inside the IDOC's facilities. They've also named as defendants actual employees and Idaho Department of Corrections employees for some really serious screwed up stuff. So, first of all, when Fry went into prison, he was on an insulin pump. Well, he's not on an insulin pump anymore. They will not provide him an insulin pump, and they have been withholding a glucometer so that he can test his blood glucose. Okay. This is
Oh,
life threatening shit.
yeah.
And I don't want to live in a country with this level of barbarism. I just don't.
No.
When we put someone in prison, we take full responsibility for all of their care. Mr. Fry does not have any ability to access any medical care at all unless it is provided to him by the prison.
Yeah.
And a type 1 diabetic is an incredibly vulnerable prisoner. We have had diabetics die in Idaho jails and prisons
Hmm.
because of mismanagement of their medical care.
Yeah.
Not people who were on death row who, were received their death warrant or whatever. We're just talking about day-to-day care that if we
Hmm.
are going to incarcerate human beings, we do have to provide life-saving care.
Yeah.
So his blood sugar was pretty well managed when he went in. Of course it was. He was on a pump. That's
Yeah.
what pumps do. Now his blood sugar fluctuates very widely. Um, he only had a glucometer for a few months when he was first placed into IDOC, and then it was taken away. So then he has to rely on staff to take his blood sugar and to provide him daily insulin. Since the lawsuit has been filed, he's gotten his glucometer back because they know they're
Oh,
in trouble. They
yeah,
can't be doing this. But when you are a diabetic on insulin, you have a schedule that you need to stay on for your insulin. It's really
for sure.
important. And particularly for type 1s, there's a schedule when you get your insulin versus when you eat. These things
Hmm.
are really, really important. You have to eat right after you get your insulin or you have a low. And,
Hmm.
I am not a type 1. I am a type probably now 1.5 diabetic, and I am on insulin. And I cannot imagine how scary this must be for this person.
Well, yeah.
Um,
And how many times he's had lows and stuff.
yeah,
Not to
and
mention that,
highs,
yeah, he could lose his vision. He could lose appendages.
limbs, or just
Yeah.
die.
Yeah. Or just die.
Yeah,
Well, or go into kidney failure. Or, I mean, there's so
right.
many layers of
So
this.
many things. Yeah. So Centurion and IDOC are saying the insulin pumps and glucometers are a security concern. Well, then you figure it out because you can't
Right.
just fuck with people's lives. You
That's
cannot
still
do
your
that.
job. That's
We are
still your job.
not that kind of a nation. I don't
No,
want to be that. Are we? Yes. Do I want to be? No. This
no.
is something we all need to be aware of. How are these kinds of health concerns being handled in our jails and prisons? In Idaho, it sucks. We all know it does. I'm talking about this because I want you to know that these things are happening in jails and prisons, and they're probably happening in your state too. So if you are in the US, please find out, what are your state's policies? How are these things being handled?
Well, these are Eighth Amendment violations. I mean,
Right.
clear Eighth Amendment violations.
Absolutely. So he had a very rough night in September of 2022 when he did not get his insulin at all.
Oh,
His blood glucose, by the time he finally got it tested, was somewhere between 5 and 600, which
oh,
he could have had a stroke and died.
easily, yeah.
He was experiencing symptoms of diabetic ketoacidosis from not having enough insulin. They were short staffed that night. He was at the time in a wheelchair because he had a broken ankle. Now, I'll tell you about the broken ankle too. Um, so someone had wheeled him down to the medical unit to get his insulin. And like people were standing in lines that could last for hours to get their meds because they were that short staffed. So he was taken back to his cell, believing that they would come down and bring him his insulin. And would not, they took him getting out of line as refusing his insulin, so they just didn't give it to him. The dude was in a wheelchair and unable to move himself around.
Yeah.
So apparently, one of the staff that determined that gave the staff a direct order. One of the lieutenants a direct order not to call an emergency if Fry said he needed medical assistance because he really didn't, and they just
Oh
left
my
with
God.
insulin overnight. Yeah, and his blood sugar was between 5 and 600 milligrams per DL by the next morning.
Mm,
That is and they intentionally withheld it
yeah.
from him. The other issue is that he had a broken ankle. And he that happened in May of 2021. And it wasn't he had all these appointments that were delayed. He got moved around to different facilities. And so he just had a splint and was in a wheelchair, but his ankle had not been set. And this was in May of 2021. By May of 2022, he finally saw an orthopedic surgeon who said he needed surgery for the ankle. Um, Never got the surgery. And by the time he was seen in November of 2022, his ankle had healed on its own, set incorrectly. And they've just left it that way. So he has pain from it. He has difficulty walking. He has diabetic neuropathy in his feet, which is a type of nerve damage
Mm-hmm.
that diabetics get, and then has this poorly set ankle. He can barely walk. All of this because of complete bullshit in the medical system in our prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what he did. He's a human being.
Mm-hmm.
We as a state are responsible for all of his care if we put him in prison, and we should be giving it to him. This is fucked up. This is
In every
inhumane
way.
bullshit.
Well,
Yeah,
and we as a country have it written into our Constitution how our
right,
prisoners are supposed to be treated, and they're violating it right and left. But it just
right,
seems like the recourse is none.
right. I mean, they filed the lawsuit, his attorneys did, so then he got a glucometer. But I mean, great, a glucometer, but a glucometer does not provide insulin. So he is
Mm-hmm.
still at the mercy of the prison staff to give him insulin, which
Who
is a
apparently are
terrifying
too
place to
dumb to
be,
understand
or just don't care,
diabetes or just don't care. Yeah.
just generally do not care. I don't understand why there can't be accommodation made to have a pump. It doesn't make any sense to me that a type 1
No.
diabetic, that would make life much easier for, because pumps and monitors can all be built into one machine now.
Mm-hmm.
It would be much simpler for him to be able to have a pump, and
Mm-hmm.
then the Department of Corrections wouldn't be required to be giving him his insulin. I don't know. I'm so tired of Idahoans being treated like we are less than human in this
Mm-hmm.
state, and we're seeing it all over this country. So
Yep.
be aware of that. Check out what are the policies versus what's actually being done
Mm-hmm.
in your communities, in jails and prisons, when it comes to diabetics and people needing other kinds of life-saving medication, because I
Yeah,
think it's worth looking into.
definitely.
Yeah. And with that, Katie, I think I'm going to kick you back, kick it back to you, not kick you, for some creepy crime.
Okay. I'd have a hard time today thinking of a bigger creep than this guy right here.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Who's
It
that guy?
happened in St. Louis. This guy is a parent. His name is Daryl Clemmons.
Okay.
The little boy plays football. And apparently, he didn't think that his son was getting enough playing time, not being given a starting position, not getting the playtime that he thought that he deserved. And last week, he entered into an altercation with one of the coaches on his son's team. And that resulted in him shooting the coach 4 times
Oh my God.
in front of the kids, in front of the families, at a football practice.
What?
Not a game, even, not that it would be better, but at a
What?
practice.
What the hell?
He flipped out, and apparently these men have had beef in the past. Apparently, uh, Clemens helped to coach this team in the past and is not helping this year. I'm guessing because he has a horrible fucking temper from what I'm seeing here. And
Yeah.
he and this coach have had beef in the past. And that's what it resulted in. Now, lucky for him, the coach lived. Lucky for everybody, the coach lived.
Yeah.
His name is Shaquille Lattimore, and he is going to survive. He had 4 gunshot wounds. He tried to run. He was shot in the back, and once he fell, Clemens shot him 3 more times. Obviously, he has been arrested and charged with a bunch of stuff. And the city of St. Louis has said, I think we're going to end the season on this team because this isn't okay, which I think
Oh
is
my God.
also
That's
awful for the kids. I
right. The poor
understand
kids
why,
are,
but
just as much victims here. That's terrible.
are you curious to know how old the kids are? Any
Oh no. Are
guesses?
they little?
9 and 10-year-olds,
Oh my God. Little boys had to
little
witness
boys,
that?
got to see all this. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them don't go back to football after this because
Right?
that's horrifying And I'm sure some of
Absolutely
their
terrifying.
parents were like, yeah, we're done with this.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, wow.
But I also am sad for the kids that their season got cut short because adults couldn't manage their shit
Yeah,
and something like this happened. It's all just horrifying. There are
yeah,
stories every so often about a coach being attacked, about an umpire or a referee being attacked.
yeah,
People have got to get some chill. But
yeah.
this guy particularly, now his family is coming out saying, oh, you've got the story all wrong. The coach came off the field to confront him. Well, see, coaches don't just come off the field to confront you just for existing.
No,
And he's the one that
you're
started it.
you're causing problems,
Yeah.
and
Now,
so the coach is coming to you to tell you to shut the hell up.
mhm. Now, the coach said that he does carry and that he had handed his firearm to another adult for safekeeping during the practice. So he didn't have a weapon on him at the time, which I'm kind of glad he didn't. What else would have happened?
Right.
But,
God.
and who else could have been hurt?
Why does anyone need a gun at a football practice for 9 and 10-year-olds? Why?
He said he packs because it's a really rough part of town, and so when he's in that area, he carries a gun.
Mm,
So, but the family of the shooter says that he's the one that marched off the field and confronted Clemmons and started the fight, and Clemmons just finished it. This was just clear self-defense. You don't shoot a man in the back and then three more times while
Uh,
he's on the ground that's unarmed in self-defense. Sorry, I'm
no,
just
you
not going to
you
buy
sure
that.
don't. You sure don't. And that finishing it would have been like, fuck you, not
Yeah,
boom, boom, boom.
yeah.
Holy crap.
Big boy words,
Wow.
people.
Yeah.
Time to start using your big boy words. Or, I don't know, maybe, just maybe, if things were so bad and Clemens was so unhappy, maybe he should have taken this little boy and put him on a different team or
Right.
not played football this year. I know it's a shocker, but that could have happened. There's a
Or
million
just
things that could have
grow the
happened
hell up.
differently. But now you have a man that gets to recover from 4 bullet wounds and has had to have surgery and is, gonna live, but is pretty beat up. And then you have this fool that's now gonna go to prison because his 9-year-old wasn't getting enough playing time at a practice at football
That is absolutely terrifying.
and
I
mindless.
cannot imagine what else must be going on in that family's life, in that child's life,
Mhm.
that this would happen.
Absolutely.
Because it's very selfish. Clearly, no
Oh,
actual care about the kid
yeah.
that you would
Unbelievably
do this
selfish.
to your
Yeah.
kid's football coach. Holy hell.
Yep.
Terrifying.
So with that, I'm gonna kick it over to you for another crime news update.
Oh, yes, you are. In a win for the planet,
Oh God.
to quote EIC trash can toilet brush, Alex
Uh, trigger warning.
Jones. It should be a crime to even have to look at his dumbass face. Alex Jones has had a loss in court, guys. A Texas judge has ruled that his petition for bankruptcy protection, guess what, guys? It does not shield him from making the $1 billion payments that he owes to the families from Sandy Hook.
Oh.
Yay! I wish I had an applause track. We all
Maybe we
know
need one.
we all knew this was coming, right? After there were rumors of him trying to file bankruptcy to get out of this after he was such a dick in court that the judge
Mhm,
literally just piled as much money on him as humanly possible to
mhm.
owe the Sandy Hook families. Then he did file for bankruptcy, and then he actually had the gall to see if a court would allow him to, just take out bankruptcy on that debt. And oh, guess what? No, that asshole still owes the Sandy Hook families $1 billion. And
Wow.
I want to see him pay up. I want to see him sell everything.
Absolutely.
One pair of underwear. That's all you get. The rest going on eBay because some gross idiot will buy it.
And they're from the
I'm
dollar store.
serious. Take it all. Take everything this idiot has got because he is a Sandy Hook denier who has spoken screamed from the rooftops that Sandy Hook never happened and that this was crisis actors and all this bullshit that he has done to the families of these dead children. It is the grossest, most ridiculous bullshit ever. And talk about a fuck around and find out.
Yep.
Well, Alex Jones, you continue to fuck around and find out, but you know what? You're going to be paying off that debt until you are in the grave. And for
Mm.
that, I am pleased.
Have the day you deserve, Alex.
Absolutely. And with that, Katie, you're going to round us out with a little more WTF news.
This Miss Ma'am right here is Sandra Henson.
Okay.
Now, Sandra's been arrested. Sandra's only crime? Attending a wedding in Mississippi.
Okay.
Problem? Sandra wasn't invited. In fact,
Uh oh.
Sandra doesn't even know those people. And the
Uh
bride was
oh.
real shocked when she walked into the bridal room to see this lady standing there gobbling down a piece of cake that she's never seen before.
What the hell?
And her family had never seen this lady before, and everybody went, "What is up?" And they called the police. And the police went,
Seems wise. Yeah.
"Sandra's at it again."
Uh
Because
oh.
Sandra is quite the wedding crasher. She has been arrested in 3 different states for crashing weddings and stealing the cards.
Oh, what a bitch.
Mhm. So, you put that card in there with your 50 bucks in it for their wedding or their honeymoon or something. Or maybe they have a money tree or, the various creative ways that they do at weddings, for you to give them a little
Yeah.
extra cash.
And these days, a lot of people just ask for money because they're,
Yeah,
going on a
they don't
honeymoon or whatever.
really need
That's
a
common.
toaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently, this is kind of, I don't know if it's Sandra's day job or just her hobby, but this is what she has been up to. Yes. Sandra's 57. I don't know how long she's been doing this, but it could probably be a long time. She
Oh
is
my
quite the
God.
opportunist. So she's been arrested in Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi for crashing weddings and stealing money and cards. She's pled guilty in one of
Holy
those
crap.
cases. The other ones we don't know about. Yeah. She also stole $200 from the wedding coordinator's purse.
Oh.
And when she was confronted, she denied being the thief, but ultimately pulled that $200 out of her bra. Yeah.
Oh, Sandra's got some pretty brass ovaries, man.
Right. Put stuffing money down the tits wallet. Yep. The police also found a notebook among her belongings with a list of other weddings in the area.
Oh, Sandra, just start doing DoorDash. Come on.
Right.
Give me a break. Quit fucking up people's weddings. What a terrible thing to do.
Right.
God,
Babe, the cake can't be that good. I mean, come on, man.
that
Yeah,
is so pathetic.
it really is.
But just to walk in and just pretend like someone knows you, like that's gutsy.
Right. Just blending in, standing in the bridal room,
Yeah,
just
like I think you fucked up doing that.
eating a piece
Like
of cake.
go
Yeah.
to the reception where people could blend in, but in the bridal room, what?
Why would you be
Definitely
in
people
there?
are gonna not know you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the bride's family pretty much shook her down and then got the police there. Had they not, she probably would have just left and maybe gotten away with it. But
She got a little too brave. Flew a
hmm
little too
she
close to the sun there, Sandra.
she really did melted the frosting right off that wedding cake there, Sandra. And so,
My God.
at any rate, also Sandra, sucks to suck, have the day you deserve, and all the things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, that's it. That is our Monday episode. We're going to be back on Tuesday with a brand new episode, Wednesday with a brand new episode, and then, of course, we'll be back Wednesday night for case updates. So
Yes, we
we have
will.
so much more to come. Thanks so
Oh
much for
yeah.
being here. Please like, share, subscribe. If you want to head over to Patreon, we have 2 new Patreons coming up. They're not quite there yet for the spooky season. And we're, of course, True Crime Squad on Patreon. If you want to join up, we would love to have you over there. Part of the
There's
Inner
so
Squad.
much content over there. There's years worth of episodes
Hmm.
that you have not seen if you are not
Yep,
a patron.
for sure. And there you have it. Well, this has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.